Hey guys, welcome back. So we're looking at 3.9 today. Is it the end? So let's go ahead and jump right in. So here we are multiplying. So use FOIL. Remember, first, outer, inner, last. So x times x is x squared. 5 times x is plus 5x. Outer, x times 5 is another plus 5x. And then last, 5 times 5 is plus 25. Combine your middle two terms. So we have x squared plus 10x plus 25. So that's your answer. So you're just taking and using FOIL to multiply these. So for 4, in problems 1 through 3, the answers are called perfect square trinomials. What about these answers makes them be a perfect square trinomial? Factor times itself. We're taking the same factor, x plus 5 times x plus 5, x minus 3 times x minus 3. We're taking the same factor times itself. All right, for the next part, same thing. We're still using FOIL. So x times x is x squared. 8 times x is 8x. X times negative 8 is negative 8x. 8 times negative 8 is negative 64. Middle two terms cancel, so we're left with x squared minus 64. So these are what's known as a difference of two squares. What about these answers makes them a difference of two squares? So why don't they have a middle term like problems 1 through 3? Middle terms opposite. So they cancel out. What makes them be a difference of two squares? In the form a squared minus b squared. So a is squared and b is squared, and they are subtracting. So that's why they're in this form. So you're going to have subtraction for all of these. You're going to have your a term squared and your b term squared. All right, the last section, we have slightly more complex, obviously. So we're taking x times everything, and then we're taking negative 3 times everything. So x times x squared is x to the third. X times 3x is plus 3x squared. X times 9 is plus 9x. Then we take negative 3 times everything. So negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times 3x is minus 9x. Negative 3 times 9 is negative 27. So we have a positive 3x and a negative 3x. They cancel. We have a positive 9x and a negative 9x. They cancel. All we're left with is x to the third minus 27. So that is what you'll be doing for those. So in 12, the work in problems 9 through 11 makes them feel like the answers are going to have a lot of terms. What happens in the work of the problems that makes the answers be binomials? Several terms are opposites. So they cancel out. All right. Don't forget to answer this last part here. What makes them a difference of two cubes? Think back to a difference of two squares to explain yourself. All right, for this next section, determining the values of polynomials at 0 and at positive and negative infinity. So for 13, we have x to the 5th plus 7x to the 4th minus 9x to the 3rd plus x squared minus 13x plus 8. What is our y-intercept? Well, our y-intercept is always going to be the constant. So it's going to be at 0, 8. So this one would be at 0, negative 15. So it's always that constant value. That's going to be your y-intercept. What degree is it? Well, the degree is the largest exponent. So it's 5 in this case. It's 4 in this case. It's 2 in that one. It's 9 in this one. So it's always what the largest exponent is. All right, the end behavior. So behavior is your key word for this lesson, behavior. All right, so as x goes to negative infinity, f of x goes to, well, because this is a odd because of the way this one is. So it's an odd exponent, and the direction, if we try going further and further negative with our answers, we're going to end up being at negative infinity. So as we go to negative infinity, the function also goes to negative infinity. One way to test this out is by plugging in values for x. So keep going further negative, plug in negative 10, plug in negative 20, see what happens with those values. Do they get further negative, or are they going in a positive direction? Same thing for going to positive infinity. Plug in positive numbers. If we plugged in positive 10, what would we get? If we plugged in positive 20, what would we get? See where it goes. And you'll find that it would go to positive infinity. Now, just because it's an odd function does not mean that it's always going to go the exact directions, the same direction each way. Because there's not a negative out front, that's why it's following through with this. This one has a negative out front, so guess what? These two are going to be switched. Negative infinity is going to go to positive, positive is going to go to negative. Now on even functions, they are always, unless there's a negative out front, going to go to positive infinity. Think of them like the parabolas. Those are always going up, or they're always both going down if there's a negative out front. So these are both going to positive infinity, okay? So it's just what it does as it goes. So if we look like these are all parabolas. Their end behavior would all be positive infinity. These are cubics, so one's going off in either direction. So these are all even functions. This is even, even, even. This is odd, odd, odd. All right. The expression a squared plus 2ab plus b squared is called a perfect square trinomial. I can recognize it because the first and last terms will always be perfect squares. Always be perfect squares. The middle term will be 2 times the first and last. There will always be a addition sign before the last term. It factors as a plus b and a plus b. It's always going to be that way. All right, the expression a squared minus b squared is called the difference of two squares. I can recognize it because it's a binomial and the first and last terms are perfect squares. The sign between the first term and the last term is always a subtraction sign. That says subtraction. I know it's hard to read. It factors as a plus b times a minus b. All right, the expression a to the third plus b to the third is called the sum of two cubes. I can recognize it because it's a binomial and the first and last terms are cubes. The expression of a to the third plus b to the third factors into a binomial and a trinomial. I can remember it as a short. This one is a binomial. The first one's binomial. Second one is trinomial. I know it's hard to read. The sign between the terms in the binomial is addition, and the sign as the sign in the expression. And the first sign in the trinomial is the opposite of the sign in the binomial. That's why all the middle terms cancel when multiplying. The last sign in the trinomial is always addition. It factors as a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So those are some very helpful parts about the different factorings, special products, to help you through. All right, use what you know about special products. So notice 25x squared plus 30 plus 9. 25 is a perfect square, 9 is a perfect square. If we take the square root, we would have 5 times 3, which is 15. Double that, we'd get 30. So this is 5x plus 3 squared. It's a perfect square trinomial. This one here is a perfect cube. So x minus 1 And then it'd be x squared plus x plus 1. Okay? So you're just factoring them based on those 3 different perfect or special products for factoring that we just did. Okay? All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Have a great day. Bye, guys.